For the longest time, I've always wanted to build my own home theater, and my friends, the time has finally arrived. Now, I've built home theater related projects here on the channel before, a transmission line subwoofer enclosure and some speaker stands, but these projects were always just more simple living room setups with just a few speakers. To do what I've always wanted to do, I want to have a projector, I want to have a big large screen, I want to be able to have all the surround sound speakers including in-ceiling speakers for Dolby Atmos, and I want to be able to have separate music zones for those other speakers that might be in other rooms. Now, as a side project over the past year, I decided to prep my basement for what I have always wanted to do. I got rid of this old carpet and installed some new vinyl plank flooring. As a side note, I also had to do a major update on my basement bar, so I built this. Anyways, back to the home theater. I don't know about you guys, but when I watch a movie, I want to be completely immersed in the experience. It absolutely drives me nuts to go to a public theater and have people playing around on their phones or talking during the movie. By having my own home theater, I can avoid those distractions and I can always pause the movie when it's time to re-up that popcorn. Nevertheless, I know that here on this channel, we usually focus on car audio projects, but if you guys are car audio enthusiasts like me, you love having good music in every aspect of your life, including something like this, a home theater, so I want to take you guys along for the ride. So in this video, I want to show you guys what some of my plans are for this home theater, and I want to tell you a little bit about some of the videos that I plan to make in the future to help you guys if you are also planning on making your own home theater. Now, first off, as I walk you around my space here, a disclaimer: I fully understand this is not a dedicated home theater room. As much as I'd love to build a house from scratch and start from raw framing and run all the wiring and do all the sound treatment and get into all that, it's just not in the cards right now. It's not in the budget. This is an existing room, and I'd imagine for the vast majority of people that are putting in a home theater, you're starting with an existing room and you want to make the best use of that room and space, and that's what we're going to be focusing on in this project. So here is my room here, and ignore this screen. Obviously, that's not the final screen. I just put that there for demonstration purposes. That is ridiculously small. We definitely can't use that. But this wall behind that, that's where I plan on having the projector screen, which means, as you can imagine, we'll have seating in roughly this location here, facing the screen. And my plan is to have the screen centered upon that light right there. So you could be sitting right here, looking at the center of the screen. Now, I definitely want to get that immersive home theater experience, so I'm leaning towards an 120-inch screen. I want a nice big screen, and because of that screen being that size, that means that for our front speakers, because of this window being right here, we're gonna have to have the front left speaker on the floor. Same for the front right, that will also be floor standing, and I'll probably make something for the center channel. But as far as the surround sound speakers go, I have a nice spot on this wall for an in-wall surround speaker, and the same in this location right here. Now, because the back of the room is actually another room here, more on this in a second, we're not going to have any speakers behind here, so I'm leaning towards a 5-channel surround sound system. We'll definitely probably have a couple of subwoofers, of course, got to have the subs, but the next thing that I'm really excited about is having some in-ceiling speakers. Obviously, we have a drop ceiling here, and I've removed some of these panels just to do some investigating on where would be potentially a good speaker location. And in other words, we're going to have a speaker here and a speaker, the same symmetry over on this panel here. And what that will give me is that Dolby Atmos height effect. If you're not familiar with what that is, obviously with surround sound, we have speakers around us so that we can hear what's happening around us in a movie, but it also adds another layer of dimension if you have the in-ceiling speakers, because now the decoding in the movie can make sounds play above you as well. So it gives you a much, much more immersive experience, especially for action movies, which I love. Star Wars, Fast and the Furious, all those good Marvel movies. Love those movies. So definitely excited about this. Now, where things get more complex is, you guys remember that I mentioned the bar earlier, and the bar has a TV behind it as well. So my plan is because I'm gonna be using a projector for the main home theater, and you traditionally don't wanna be running a projector passively. If you're just kind of hanging out and not really fully committed to watching what's on the projector screen, in other words, if you're having like a party or if it's a sporting event where people are kind of, just being social, but then kind of watching watching the game at the same time. In that case, it's better to use a TV. So with all that said, I wanted to make sure that I had the ability to have a separate zone. And what that means is I need to get a receiver that can not only display just one video source, because potentially, what if I wanted to have a movie on, but also a separate video source here? It needs to have two different video sources that can be output from the receiver. Additionally, I'm also going to have two speakers next to the TV here, so it's nice to be able to have that separate audio zone that I can control. This gives me some flexibility to do something like having that TV playing just the audio here, or having all of the speakers in the whole system playing audio if I'm just listening to music in more of a party type environment, or I could listen to music only on the main speakers if I'm going for more of that sound quality type experience. There's a lot of different options here, and that's all going to go into the planning aspect of this project, which we'll be talking about in the future videos. So having that separate zone control also carries over into this back room here. This is kind of like the kids' play area, obviously. I want to be able to have a couple of speakers up in the ceiling here on that separate zone. That way, if we just want to play some children's music, you know, my kids love the Disney movie themes, the Frozen soundtrack, that kind of thing, we can play that over here for them. And the final aspect of all of this is, of course, we need to do all that different installation. We need to run the wiring to everything, but we also need a location for everything to kind of be stored and all mounted together. And I've always wanted to build an AV rack, so I'm going to be trying that out for the first time as well. It's obviously going to hold the receiver and the different source units, hopefully a couple of amplifiers as well, so we can really get these front speakers sounding great. Definitely going to be a fun project. Now, I know roughly what categories of gear I need in terms of like a projector and a screen, but I don't know exactly which models I want to get yet. So for that, I'm going to be reaching out to Crutchfield. If you watch my videos, you know that I've been using them for years for car audio gear, long before the channel ever started, because their customer service is top notch. So I'm actually going to talk to one of their expert advisors and get help with picking out the gear. In the next video, I'll be talking to him, and we're going to look into the 5 different questions that you need to answer when you're researching what gear you need for a home theater system. Crutchfield was also cool enough to sponsor these videos, so I'm going to be able to take you guys along for the ride. I'm going to show you how we build and install a projector screen. I'm going to show you how we do all the wiring. I'm going to show you how we build an AV rack and more. To catch those videos, if you are new here, I'd love to have you as a subscriber. Thank you for watching. Let's get this home theater started, and I'll see you guys in the next video.